Hello, this is Aitana, and you are listening to Season 1 of the Swim in the Strait podcast, where we talk with swimmers of all sorts from the New Zealand swimming arena, from swimming every day through the winter to crossing the Cook Strait. We will hear stories of passion, perseverance, and dedication. Welcome to episode 2 of Season 1 of Swim in the Strait. Today's guest is an Ironman, ultra runner, ultra swimmer, and has crossed the 40.2 k's of Lake Taupo swimming. I have the pleasure to talk today to Victoria Pinarello. Hello, Victoria. How are you? Thank you for joining us today in the Swim in the Strait podcast.
Thank you for having me, Aitana.
We have a really nice story today. Tell us the story of how do you decide one day to swim across Taupo, which is 40.2 k's, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct. So I wouldn't consider myself an athlete. I didn't do any sport growing up and only swam recreationally and never trained competitively at all. I found that when I moved back from Europe in about 2014, I was watching my younger brother, who's very sporty and very competitive, competing in triathlons. And that really inspired me, the way that he trained and the way he pushed himself. And that really gave me a taste of, what I could achieve.
Mm-hmm. So what was the first kind of dipping your toe? What is the first thing that you did?
The first race I decided I wanted to aim for was the half Ironman in Taupo, which consists of a swim, a bike and a run. So the swim was 1.8 kilometres, the bike was 90 kilometres, and the run was 21 kilometres.
Wow. And how long does it take normally?
The professionals can do it in, I think, about 4 to 5 hours. That's not me.
How did it take you?
I think the first time I competed, it took me around 7.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a long time.
It is a long time, a full work day.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that is true. Well, and what was next?
So after competing in a half Ironman, I decided that a full Ironman was the next way to go. So that's double the distance.
Just because 7 hours was not enough.
That's right.
Good.
It's all about pushing yourself as far as you can go.
Yeah, I bet. So you did a full Ironman?
I did. I did that in 2019. And after I finished the Ironman, I really didn't enjoy the bike of the Ironman. So I decided to do a swim run, which just consisted of swimming and running.
So do you prefer to swim and run than biking?
I prefer to swim.
So why you decided to run as well? I can't see anything worse than running.
So it was it's a great experience to do different types of events. And I'd heard about doing a swim run, which is when you run and then you swim with your shoes on and then you get out and you run some more and then you swim again.
Hold on. So you don't swim for 2 hours and then you stop swimming, get dry and run. You do it. Can you please explain to me how that works?
Yeah, it just is one after another. So maybe the one I did in Wanaka was, I think, 18 transitions. So you went from swimming to running to swimming to running to swimming to running.
Oh my God, I find that really hard. Was it hard?
It was very hard, but a beautiful location. That was down in Wanaka.
Yeah, one of the good things about New Zealand is that anywhere you go to do those kind of events is normally very beautiful. So it's not only the event, but also enjoying the scenery.
Yeah, that's right.
Was it cold?
It was quite cold.
And how do you run wet? Like, that sounds horrific. I'm sorry, but that sounds horrific.
It's not as bad as you think it is.
Right.
You have a swim run wetsuit and there's special equipment for it, but it's a great experience.
And did you do that on your own?
No, you do it with a partner.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's a team event.
Oh, that's pretty fun.
Which is much nicer than doing a triathlon where you're by yourself.
Okay. And do you train with a partner? I mean, because of course you might have to go at the same speed, I presume.
That's right. Yeah, you have to stay within, I think it is 5 meters of each other.
Okay. Do you have a rope?
During this one, we actually had a rope.
Oh, why is that?
Well, I was a slower swimmer at that point, and so it was good to get towed.
What's it tow you? That's pretty funny. So how long did that take you guys?
Oh, I think that was 10 hours.
Oh, we're increasing the time.
Yeah, but it was actually less than Ironman.
Oh, I didn't ask you how long was Ironman.
Yeah, so Ironman I did in 13 hours. No, I think that's wrong. Ironman I did in 12 hours and 48 minutes.
Minutes are very important, I agree. Okay, so you did half Ironman,
swim run, ultra running.
What's that?
So I did an ultra run down in Tianao. I did the Kepler Challenge, which was 62 kilometers.
Is that running in the flat or?
That's up a very large mountain and back down again.
How long did that take?
I think that was also 10 hours.
So why is it with the long distances?
I really like pushing myself and seeing how far I can go. And I found that doing longer distances meant that I could go slower.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like I guess in those events, you are just competing with yourself. You're not really, unless you're a professional athlete.
Yeah, that's right. I was never fast enough to compete at that level. So for me, it was all about being able to finish the race.
So what is that? Do you enjoy the training? Do you enjoy the atmosphere? Or
I think it's all of it. You know, the community of people around you, as well as training and pushing yourself and training for your health.
Okay, and then after your ultra run,
I went back to what I loved doing, which was swimming.
Good. And then how do you decide to go and swim Taupo?
I guess when I did my first half Ironman in Taupo, I remember just being in the lake and how beautiful it was. And I did have a moment where I thought I could swim the length of this lake. And that just all came back to me after going through triathlon and swim run and ultra running and just being out in the ocean in Wellington every day. I considered how amazing it would be to actually swim for a really long distance.
So do you normally train every day or do you swim for fun every day? How is or you just swim when you have to train for something?
That's an excellent question. So my approach to training was much like all of my other endurance events that I'd done. And because I already had an understanding of what I needed to do to go the distance, I just adapted that for swimming. I was swimming every day recreationally, mostly for the coffee afterwards.
That's what I hear.
But I needed to change that for swimming a longer distance.
Yeah. So I have a question about the training and about how you organize, because swimming 40K is a very long swim. And for those who don't know about swimming, many people can swim 1K or 2K, but not many people can swim 40K. It's not the same as running, which is kind of, you can add Ks when you're running. So how do you decide one day that you want to swim the 40K? How you organize? How far in advance do you start training properly as in not just going for a swim on Monday morning? And who do you talk to? Do you get help in order to be successful? Can you please explain us how all that previous process goes?
The person that I got in contact with to be able to organise the swim was Philip Rush, and he's a big personality here in Wellington who organises all the long distance marathon swims. And I spoke to him probably 12 months before I decided that I was going to swim Taupo, and he gave me a few milestones that I would need to hit before I would be ready. Mostly those were I had to swim a couple of 40k weeks, so doing 40 kilometers within a week. I had a 6-hour swim that I also needed to accomplish before I would be ready for swimming Taupo. I got a few suggestions off him about the best way to train for that, and one of the things he suggested was to do a build, hold, and then a recovery. So the build would be 2 weeks of building up my kilometers, holding the distance for a couple of weeks, and then 1 week recovery, which is not no swimming, it's less swimming.
Yeah, so it's kind of an active recovery.
That's right. A couple of things I did that made things easier for myself was I attended 3 squad sessions. So I had one session with Phil, which was on a Sunday morning, and then I had 2 other swim squads which I attended, which was through Outpaced Swimming, and they were evening swim squads. Because I had to fit training around life and around work, what I did to make it easier on myself is I would do 2 swims a day. So I'd swim in the morning before work, and then I'd swim again after work.
Yeah, because to give a little bit of a reference, like how long, if you were doing 40k weeks, how much time were you in the water?
That would probably be around 20 hours.
20 hours in the water is a long time.
It is a long time, especially when you have to be working as well.
Exactly, yeah, you have to play with all the pieces of your life, trying to fit them all together.
And you need to have a rest day as well.
Of course.
Important to have the recovery.
Yeah, of course, you have to have the recovery. Recovery is so important in any kind of training, right?
Absolutely.
So what are you doing during that year that took you to get ready for the big swim, the big day? Were you doing something different apart from swimming 20 hours a week? Were you like modifying your food, your sleeping patterns,
I found that I was eating a lot more. Had a consistent diet of burger and beers.
Nice.
Because as much as I was training, it was important that I still lived my life and had coffees and treat myself, especially when I was training so much.
Yeah. I guess it's good to not lose perspective. You can get into the training mode and just forget that there is a world outside.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But hopefully, or probably you're training for Ironmans and your long distances events before gave you a little bit of perspective as well.
That's right. And from those experiences, I knew that I didn't want to change my lifestyle too much. So as much as I added up training hours, I didn't want to change what I was eating, stop going out for dinner or stop having takeaways and things like that.
And what about sleeping?
I was having a lot of afternoon naps.
Because normally swimmers get up very early. And if you were swimming twice a day, I guess one of the swims was before work.
Yeah, I am a morning person, so tend to get up early anyway. So those morning swims suited myself fine. It was the evening ones which really made me very tired.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Good. So you did your planification for the year, and then can you tell me about the couple of weeks before the big event? How did it work? When did you decide that you were ready for it?
So what happens is when you speak to Phil about attempting a marathon swim, he'll give you a swim window. So my original swim window was the end of March. On the 30th of December, I completed my 6-hour swim, which was one of the benchmarks. And that consisted of doing loops of Oriental Bay for 6 hours.
Wow. That is kind of a 1K loop?
It's about 1.4.
1.4. That is a lot of loops.
So it's actually called, we've named it the Carina Madness. So Karina was the first one to do a swim like this when she was training for her Cook Strait swim. And it has become an institution of a benchmark of what you should achieve.
So do you remember how many loops in 6 hours?
I'm not sure how many loops, but I did 17 kilometers.
Oh, wow. That is a lot of swimming.
It was not the best day. It was overcast. It was a little cold, and I managed to swim into 2 jellyfish.
Nice.
One on my way in from my lap 2, and then again on my way out for lap 3.
Oh, God.
So in the space of about 10 minutes, I got stung twice.
Oh, no. Well, I guess that was a good practice for why. I mean, you don't find jellyfish in Taupo, but you definitely can find some weather.
Yeah. I think that swimming into the jellyfish really prepared me mentally for my big swim in Taupo, because if I could keep swimming after that, I could really swim through anything.
Anything, exactly. Just keep calm and keep swimming.
It was about a week after that swim that Phil called me, and I met him for coffee, and he wanted to know how my swim went and how I was feeling. And he said to me that there was no point waiting. We might as well give it a go.
Let's do it.
So I would be swimming at the end of January now.
Instead of March. Okay.
So that was quite a shock. And it took a little bit of preparing. So I had to get my crew ready and mentally prepare myself.
How do you do that? Both things, the crew and the mentally preparation.
I guess for my crew, I really thought about who would be able to help me get to the other side. So my crew's responsibilities were to get me up there, to feed me, and be my mental support while I was there.
How about your mental preparation? Did you do anything?
I listened to a lot of music.
Was it classical music or
little,
heavy metal?
A little bit of everything.
Nice. Okay, so you get there, you get to Taupo, and you're there with your crew, and what happens then?
Well, a little logistically, it is quite complicated because it's very weather dependent. So things can change all the time, and you can't really book any accommodation or can't really make a move to go up there until, the swim is set. So my crew is on standby for about a week as my window approached. And then after squad on Sunday, Phil said to me that it was likely going to be a Thursday swim. And we would be travelling on Wednesday and, swimming on the Thursday. But the goalpost moved multiple times during the course of those couple of days. At first it was meant to be a Thursday swim, and then we're in the car getting ready to drive up to Taupo, and Phil calls me and says there's a bit of weather coming through, it's probably going to be a Friday swim. So there were things that were changing all the time. Wow, that is not nerve-wracking. It was definitely nerve-wracking. And then it ended up being a Saturday morning swim, and we needed to be at the boat ramp at 3:30, and I got a call from Phil. 3:30? Oh, in the morning. In the morning. And I got a phone call from Phil at 3 o'clock telling us not to come to the boat ramp because the weather, it was choppy all night and it was only just settling down. Could you sleep at all? I slept reasonably. So we needed to be at the boat ramp at 5 now. So there were a lot of changing factors that day. Yeah, so I got to the boat ramp about 5 o'clock and started swimming about 5:30, 5:45. The conditions by that time were nearly perfect. It was really starting to, flatten off. The water was still warm. It was about 21 degrees. Okay. And it's a really strange sensation getting into the water and looking out into, the darkness because you really can't see anything. There are no lights that you can aim for or anything. All you've got is the IRB, which is the inflatable that Phil and one of my crew were in right next to me. Apart from that, I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see the bottom of the lake. I couldn't see the sky. I couldn't see, the edge of the lake or anything.
Pitch black.
Pitch black.
Do they have a light for you to follow?
Yeah, right onto the IRB. They have lights around it.
Wow. That would be my worst nightmare. I would be thinking about the cracking of the lake coming to eat me or something. Were you scared?
Strangely not. I wasn't scared at that point.
Okay, that's good. Because being scared while swimming takes so much energy from you, right?
That's right. You need to be really relaxed going into the swim and thinking about just the moment.
How long did it take?
It took a total of 18 hours and 26 minutes.
Non-stop?
Non-stop.
Just keep swimming.
The majority of the swim went perfectly. It was just the last 10 Ks, which was difficult, to say the least.
Describe it for me, please.
To be honest, there's only a few things that I remember very clearly about that last 10 kilometres. That was the choppiness of the water, the darkness. I had pain in my shoulder, and I remember the sensation of swimming as hard as I could and not moving at all.
So what happened then?
Eventually I got there.
Yay!
But it was a really difficult 10K. Yeah, a lot of thoughts went through my head during that time. I did think at one point I was going to drown.
No.
Yeah. And I actually did ask to get out. I think I'm told I was 800 meters from shore when I stopped the boat. I waved my hand around and got them to stop, and I said, nope, that's it. I've had enough. Let's stop wasting everyone's time. I want to get out.
What did they say?
Oh, they drove away from me.
Okay, you're on your own now.
I mean, before the swim, I talked a lot with my husband about the what if. What if I didn't make it, or, what if I can't do it? And he rightly said to me, if I don't make it, I don't make it. It doesn't take away from all the work that I've done and all the training that I've done throughout the year. And it's about the journey, not just the one day of swimming. So if I made it 10 kilometres or 20 kilometres or even 39 kilometres, it was still an incredible achievement. And so when I asked to get out, that's what was going through my head. Because at one point, Phil did say to me, if I don't hurry up, then they're going to pull me out. And I really didn't want that to be his decision. I wanted it to be mine.
You made it.
I made it.
When you asked to get out and they left you, you were like, nah, I'm going to finish this.
Only because they swam away. Only because they drove away from me.
You thought if I don't keep swimming, I'm going to drown here.
That's right.
Half a K from shore. I am very interested about the mental part of these long distance events. What was in your brain? What was the driver? What is it was driving you to keep swimming?
I think it's the achievement, or knowing that you can push yourself so far. And I thought a lot about nothing.
I think being able to think about nothing is a huge achievement itself.
Yeah, to really black out everything else that's going on and just focus on what you're doing in the moment. I mean, even though I successfully finished the swim, I think the mental aspect of it afterwards was so much more than the physical, because I feel like after completing the swim, I really didn't appreciate what I'd done, because I was quite traumatized by that last 10 kilometers, and just having put everything out there, it took it's taken me a long time to appreciate what I accomplished.
Yeah, it takes time to sink in, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I look back now and I am truly passionate about swimming. So the fact that I'm still happy to swim and still enjoy swimming is a testament to how good it makes me feel.
That's good that you haven't said, I'm not swimming ever again. Thank you very much. Don't look at me. So I'm happy to hear that. If you had to make a summary of the things or the pieces that made you successful, what do you think are the most important things?
Good training, and definitely should have trained a little bit more in retrospect. Having good people around you, like a good support system, having people you can swim with, not necessarily people who are also wanting to swim long, but people who understand your journey or understanding what you want to accomplish. And beers and burgers.
Good. I like that. I like that. Yeah, but I think the people around you is so important, because swimming sometimes looks like a one person sport, but these kind of long distance events is never about just the swimmer.
Yeah, it's definitely about the people around you, and having people who have also swam long helped me through that, because I did have a couple of, I wouldn't say nervous breakdowns, but moments where I did get quite upset with my training. And my friend Eliza said to me, if you're not having at least 1 or 2 breakdowns, then you're not training hard enough.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought, and also probably will prepare you for the day as well. I guess in 18 hours you're going through different phases of, I'm gonna make this, and oh my god, I might not make it. So you have to be ready to push through. I guess. So if you've experienced before that kind of, oh my god, what I'm doing, when it presents in the big day, you recognize it.
Yes, and that definitely happened to me during the last 10 kilometers, where I was really thinking, what on earth was I thinking? To be swimming in the dark, in the chop, not knowing, which way I was meant to be going. I've got people yelling at me. I can't see anything.
Yeah, it feels that could have been pretty overwhelming.
It definitely was. One thought that went through my head a lot of the time when I was in the lake was, if I was to drown and sink to the bottom, then no one would find me.
Oh, that is a sad thought. It would be silent and cold.
Yeah, it's something you really have to push through mentally.
Yeah, I think that is one of the aspects of endurance sports that calls me or fascinates me or inspires me the most. Because swimming for 18 hours, I think, is an epic achievement. So well done. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And I feel very inspired. What's next?
Nothing yet.
Yet, I like that.
Still considering my options, but at the moment I'm just enjoying swimming for fun again.
Thank you very much again for joining us today in the Swim in the Straight podcast, and all the best for your next adventures, and hopefully we have you after your next one, whatever it is.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Swim in the Straight podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast, connect on social media at Swim in the Straight, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast platform.